Hello and how you doing, and welcome back to Two Jagoffs. I am your host, Austin Carnes, and in today's episode of Two Jagoffs, we are playing Ask Austin Anything. This, of course, is the episode where you guys, the listeners of Two Jagoffs, sent in any questions that you guys could have possibly asked yours truly, and I'm going to answer that right now, right here today, on the digital airways of YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, or whatever platform you're listening to. So my only rules for this episode, of course, is to keep it somewhat appropriate. I'm not going to lie, I bended the rules a little bit for this episode because I got a couple of inappropriate questions that just were mind-boggling to me and I had to read them. But no politics and nothing too inappropriate. So that is the only rules for today. You guys did a great job as always. A couple people sent in almost 30 questions each, so this episode has been carried by a couple of different people. Some of them are sports related, some of them are non-sports related. It's going to be a very fun episode, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into this. This, of course, is the 5th edition of Ask Austin Anything. So before you get into this one, definitely go back and listen to the first 4 because I got a lot of the same questions this time around. So if you want to know my story or why I'm in the career that I'm in or why this podcast is even a thing or how the name became Two Jagoffs, go back and listen to the other Ask Austin Anythings, because in today's episode, I got some really interesting questions that have never even been asked before. And the first one that I want to start off with is one that took me a very long time and to think about, and I think I finally have a good answer for it. And the question is, if you could have dinner with any athlete, past or present, who would it be and why? Now, this is a good question because you said athlete. And when you're saying athlete, that means you can go all across the board. You can go to the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, the MLB, soccer, boxing, my cup of tea, professional wrestling. There's a lot of different sports that you could go about. And the easy answer for me would be Larry Fitzgerald because he is my favorite NFL player of all time. He is the reason why I am an Arizona Cardinals fan. I believe I would learn so much about him, how to give back to your community, more about Pittsburgh because he's arguably one of the best Pitt players of all time. Most underrated player in my eyes to never win a Super Bowl. There's so much positive things to say about Larry, which is why I would probably have to go with him. But that's a really good question because there's so many different athletes out there I would love to sit down and have a dinner with and just pick their brain and learn more about the business, learn more about the culture. So like a Tom Brady, for example, would be a great answer because he's the greatest of all time. You could say the same thing about a Michael Jordan. I would love to have a sit-down conversation with a Michael Jordan. A Kobe Bryant is a true inspiration for many out there. I would love to pick the brain of Kobe Bryant. Shaq and Barkley would be funny just because of the conversations that are going to be had. So there's so many different answers that I could give, but I'm going to stick the easy route, and I'm going to say Larry Fitzgerald, mainly because that's my guy right there. Larry Legend. He's named Larry Legend for a reason. So I'm going to go Larry Fitzgerald. All right, next question. If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? I mean, this is the easiest answer that I'm ever going to give. It's got to be French fries because French fries you can do with pretty much anything. And I could really be broader here and say potato because you can make a potato into a baked potato. You can make it into a French fry. You can make hash browns. You can make potato skins. You can make a lot of different things with a potato. But if you want me to be more specific, which I know is what everyone's going to want me to be, I would probably have to say French fries just because everywhere I go, I get French fries. It doesn't matter if it's it doesn't matter if it's a bar, restaurant, grandma's house, cookout. I'm always requesting for French fries. And I load it up with cheese and bacon as well. So that is probably the one go-to food. I wouldn't necessarily load it with cheese and bacon just because I would probably have a heart attack by 25 if I did that for the next 4 years. But I definitely would dip it in ranch, ketchup, throw it on other foods. It's got to be French fries. French fries is easily my go-to food for the rest of my life. Absolutely. This next one's an interesting question. I've never been asked this before. If you could only communicate using emojis for a week, which ones would you use the most? I mean, probably the laughing emoji with like the crying tears. Post-production Austin, he probably put it up on the screen already. That's the emoji right there. For anybody that's on YouTube and Spotify, that's the one that I would use because I pretty much use that one all the time. I don't really see a purpose in any of the other ones. I mean, maybe like the flexing one with the arms or the pointing, or the thumbs up, or the fist bump. I mean, those are all good ones as well. But I feel like the laughing emoji. I mean, I just pretty much use all the time, and most of the time that I'm texting people, like my friends or whatever, it's always a joke. It's always something random. So that would probably be the go-to in terms of emojis. Never been asked that question before. A lot of people out there is probably gonna say something like the middle finger or something inappropriate, but I'm gonna be basic. I'm gonna go laughing emoji with the tears. If you could, oh my god, what kind of question is this? Is this a Mr. Jack Dean question? This probably is. I don't even know who all these are from. I just have them all written down on paper. Oh goodness. Okay. If you were a kitchen appliance, which one would you be and why? How the hell am I supposed to know? A kitchen appliance? I don't know. The dishwasher? Fridge? What's all in the kitchen? I guess the fridge, because there's food and drinks around. I like to be cool. The fridge and freezer is usually cool, so give me the fridge, give me the freezer. This is going to be an interesting episode. If you guys think that question is bad, wait till we have some of the... Oh my gosh, there's a lot of unfiltered ones I'm saving for the very end, because I can't believe I was even asked some of these questions. Some of them I physically can't ask on this podcast, but there's a couple of them that I just have written down off to the side that I'm still contemplating on whether or not I want to read. But yeah, to answer your question, whoever sent this one in, if I was a kitchen appliance, I would be a fridge or a freezer, give or take. Whatever's colder, probably the freezer. If animals could talk, which one would be the rudest? If animals could talk, which ones would be the rudest? Well, I know I work with dogs and cats, and I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of dogs and a lot of cats that are sassy. Those are some sassy animals. They can be. And it depends on the breed. It depends on the gender of the dog. There can be some pretty sassy dogs. So I really want to lean towards that as an easy answer. But I know there's other animals out there. And you're saying animals. You're not just saying pets. So this is a really broad question. I'm not going to lie. Raccoons would probably be the rudest because they're just mean. They just want to steal your food. But I've seen videos online of people training raccoons. And like that you could pick them up and be friends with them. And like dogs, they're not necessarily rude. They're a man's best friend. Sassy and rude is two different things. Which one would be the rudest? I don't know. That's a really good question. Because raccoons you can train. I've seen raccoons be friendly. I've seen geese. Probably geese. There's a bunch of geese in Carnegie back where I live. I call them the Carnegie geese. They go around everywhere. Lucas, the co-host of Two Jagoffs, he knows what's up with the geese. They feed them down at the diner he works at. I don't know why. But those geese, they're rude as hell. They are rude as hell. They'll walk in the middle of the crosswalk. They'll clog up traffic. They'll crap all over your yard. They're loud. They're annoying. If you go anywhere near them, they're going to attack you. Yeah, geese is my answer. It's got to be geese. Geese is the easy answer there. Next question is, what is the most ridiculous thing you've ever convinced someone was true? The most ridiculous thing that I've ever convinced somebody. I'm not going to lie to you. The most ridiculous thing that I've probably convinced somebody? Oh, it'd have to be something stupid because I'm not a liar. I tell the truth. So sometimes I slip up and I tell the truth too much when I shouldn't. There was probably a time that I convinced somebody that, like, what's the most ridiculous? I mean, obviously I convinced people wrestling was real when I was younger because I didn't want to be made fun of for watching something that was scripted, but I still watch it to this day. I love wrestling. I'm indulged in it. So I guess you could say that was pretty ridiculous, me convincing my cousins that it was real, and then when they found out, they clowned me for it. I'm going to come back to this one because I can't honestly think of something off the top of my head, but the most ridiculous, probably something along those lines. All right, now next question is, what is your go-to karaoke song and would you sing it in front of a crowd? I have a couple, actually. And two of them are actually by Trace Adkins, country singer. Ladies Love Country Boys and Honky Tonk Badonka Donk. Those are some bangers right there. I don't care what anybody says. I love me some country music. So it's definitely going to be a country song. I'm not about to get in front of a crowd and start singing Kendrick Lamar. But if I had to do karaoke, it would be one of those two. Now, would I do it? Probably not, because I don't want to embarrass myself, because I would not be on tune in either one of those songs. But if I absolutely had to, I know both of those songs word for word. So those would be easy ones to go up there. I love country, so I mean, like, it would probably something like Knee Deep by Zach Brown Band. That would be one. Boots Scootin' Boogie by Brooks and Dunn. Any Alan Jackson song, pretty much, I can go up there and do. Jelly Roll has a couple of songs I like too. I like his song Liar. I like Liar a lot. Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean, Blake Shelton, any of those guys, any of their songs I could probably go up and do a song for. Ladies Love Country Boys would probably be the song that I would do karaoke for. Just because I know it word for word, and I already pretty much sing it in the car all the time. Another one I would do if I ever had a chance to do it with friends would be That's the Only Way I Know by Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, and Eric Church. That's a good song too. That one I could probably do karaoke for. But those would probably be some of the answers. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? What the hell kind of questions are Yins turning in? Are you kidding me? Oh my god. This isn't even Mr. Jack Dean question. This is just random ones I'm getting now. Is this supposed to be like the 100 gorillas versus one man kind of question? But by the way, it's easily 100 men. The 100 men would beat one gorilla. But this question is just bogus. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck? So it's a duck. It's the size of a horse. Or 100 little horses that are ducks. And which one am I fighting? Well, I mean, ducks are kind of mean too, in all honesty, but one's still less than 100. I feel like I could probably take down one duck that's the size of a horse rather than punting a bunch of little horses that are the size of ducks, because ducks can get pretty big. I mean, let's not act like ducks are small now. Don't get me wrong, horses are tall as hell too, but it's just one. It's just one you got to worry about. 100 of them little duckies that are also horses? I don't know about that. Give me my chances with the one horse-sized duck. I'm probably gonna get my ass kicked, but we'll still try it. Why not? Set up a match somewhere. All right. What is the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you during a game or while watching sports? Ooh, great question. So, I mean, nothing really embarrassing came off the top of my head when I was watching sports, but I do have a story from when I played basketball. I was in 7th grade, and I just came off the bench, and I was playing defense, and I was going to scramble for the ball, and it was kind of me and two other defenders fighting for it, and I got on the ground, and the one dude got on top of me, and his arm got caught behind, and actually went down my pants, and he pulled part of my shorts down, and I pretty much mooned the entire crowd. So that was a pretty embarrassing moment because I had to quickly pull up my shorts, and thank goodness it was from behind, not in front. That would have been even worse. But he pretty much pantsed me in front of my parents, in front of the entire Carlington gym, which probably scarred a couple of people. But that was certainly embarrassing because I pulled up my shorts and I pretty much was jogging on defense at that point. I did not want to play anymore. So that was something that's embarrassing that comes to mind. I mean, there's been a couple of times there's been like parties and stuff where I would drop stuff. So like, we were hosting WrestleMania the one year, and I was helping my mom and dad in the kitchen making food. I dropped the nacho tray by accident. Nachos went everywhere. That was pretty embarrassing. Everyone was looking forward to it, and I ruined it. So I mean, like, stupid little stuff like that, but there's really no big embarrassing thing that I can really recall off the top of my head. There were certainly times when I was calling sports games I embarrassed myself because I may or may not have said the wrong name, or I must have mispronounced somebody, or I said the wrong school. I've done that twice. So there's definitely been a lot of embarrassing moments. But, like, the only one that really stands out is me getting pantsed, which was just, ugh. Still get the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. All right, let's go back to some of these sports-related questions, because after all, y'all, this is a sports podcast, so let's get back into the sports side of things. Austin, which sports team do you think is the most cursed, and do you believe in curses at all? I do believe in curses because I can attest as a Cardinals, Pirates, Penguins, and Bucks fans that there are certainly curses, and there are certainly curses in the world of sports. But in terms of which team do I believe is the most cursed? Ooh. Well, if we're looking at this from just a sports standpoint, I can give you probably one in every major sport, but for some reason, the first team that comes to mind is honestly the Toronto Maple Leafs. over in the NHL. I mean, how many Game 7s have they blown now? How many playoff exits have they had over the last decade or so? It's probably a lot. It's probably double digit at this point. I mean, the Toronto Maple Leafs have such a good team. They're always performing terrific throughout the regular season. They make the playoffs. They're a juggernaut usually in the first round, and then they just completely collapse. Teams typically force Game 7, and when that happens, the Maple Leafs can't overcome it. Doesn't matter who they have. Like, Matthews isn't enough, apparently. Like, the Maple Leafs, to me, are always cursed because they're good. They're good enough, but they can never get over that hump. They can never make... They don't have that edge to them. So I believe that they are one of the most cursed teams. You can honestly say the Pittsburgh Pirates are one of the most cursed teams in baseball. I mean, they have the most beautiful stadium. I guess that's their sacrifice. They have to sacrifice a beautiful stadium and a beautiful city for a god-awful team ran by a god-awful management. So that's something that you can say for the world of baseball. Football and basketball, though, is a tough one. For the longest time, I would have said the Pistons, but they're on the uprise now. They actually made the playoffs this year, so I wouldn't necessarily say them. You can honestly make a case for the you could honestly make a case for the Charlotte Hornets just because of the amount of talent that they've had and not been able to overcome. In the NFL, I mean, I can give you a few. It's probably the Browns. Let's just be honest. The Browns are probably the most cursed team across all major sports, with the Maple Leafs being a close second, because the Maple Leafs at least have found success. They've at least won championships in their time. The Browns have not. And I'm not including NFL championships. I'm talking about Super Bowls. The Browns have not. The amount of quarterbacks they've gone through. I'm going to settle and say my final answer for this overall is the Cleveland Browns. The Maple Leafs are up there just because of hockey. Hockey's in my brain right now. I've been thinking about that recently. I don't really see any basketball teams that's cursed because every team kind of had their moment over the last 2 decades. Like, we've seen every team make some noise, so I wouldn't necessarily say, like, oh, this team is cursed. I mean, you can make a case for the Kings, maybe, the Sacramento Kings. You can also say the LA Kings, too, both Kings teams. But, yeah, Cleveland Browns, final answer. There's your answer right there. All right, our next question is another sports question. And what is your favorite sports rivalry, and why does it get you fired up? Oh, great question. Great question. There's a lot of sports rivalries out there that really gets the blood pumping. An easy answer would be Ohio State and Michigan, just with how fierce and how competitive both teams always play. I always make sure to mark that on my calendar and make sure I'm in front of a TV screen when it's happening, because that game right there is a must-see game. That game right there has bad blood behind it. Both schools genuinely hate each other. They bring the best out of each other. No matter how bad one school is one year or how bad the other is the next, they both always perform at the highest level. Michigan has been on the uprise, owning Ohio State the last several years, but Ohio State usually has the upper hand on them. So it's always been back and forth. Ohio State just won the national championship this past year. Michigan won it the year before. So they both were in championship contention recently. I mean, these are two of the best teams out there that you would want to watch in the Big Ten, and I believe that is probably one of my favorites. Another one that I'll give you that's also in college, and this is just kind of a biased one, honestly. I love the Pitt-West Virginia feud. I love the Backyard Brawl. The Backyard Brawl has always been spectacular. I had my man Jason Earl on the podcast a couple months back, and we talked about the Backyard Brawl and what it meant to the University of Pitt, not just for football, but for basketball, for baseball. I mean, Pitt owned West Virginia and all those, but that's besides the point. It brings out the both and best schools as well. Both schools are very similar, very eerie. Oakland and West Virginia. I mean, like, there's strong comparisons there. I mean, West Virginia's in the middle of nowhere, Oakland's in the city, so like, yeah, it's two different vibes you get, but there's a lot of similarities with the way both of the schools and both of the programs are run. So those are definitely two that I would probably have to put as two of my top favorites. I'm trying to think if there's any on the professional scale that I would say, because there's a lot of good rivalries out there. I mean, like, the Lakers and Celtics are good, but like, it's not as fierce as it once was. That was more back in the day. The NHL has some good ones too. Don't get me wrong. The hockey has a lot of bloodbaths, but I don't think anything is going to beat out those collegiate battles. Ohio State and Michigan is honestly probably my favorite. And I know that's the one a lot of people say. I know that's the one that a lot of people always like to protest. I will give you Duke and North Carolina, too, in college basketball. I mean, that right there, two of the best ACC teams have produced some of the best NBA players out there. Cooper Flagg and R.J. Davis are the two next ones up in line. So there's a lot to be said about college sports and the competition it has. Next question that we have is, if you could magically change the outcome of one historical sports event, which one would it be? Well, if anybody knows who I am, you should know that this is the easiest question that I'm ever going to be asked in the history of two Jagoffs. Let's go back to 2009. What was happening in 2009, you might ask, Austin? Barack Obama was president. Randy Orton won the Royal Rumble. I was still in elementary school, going in the middle school. I was still in elementary school. There was a lot that was happening around that time. But the one thing that I still remember, that still haunts me to this day, was the game of all games. The day that has now become a weekend. This weekend that has now become a holiday, a sensation, a $1 billion+ investment. The Super Bowl, where the Pittsburgh Steelers, the hometown team of where I am from, where I currently live and currently reside, taking on the team that has caused me so much depression, so much anxiety, and so much heartburn, but I still root for them every Sunday. And that is the Arizona Cardinals. The Pittsburgh Steelers took on the Arizona Cardinals back in the Super Bowl, and there was a bit of a questionable call that a lot of Steelers fans aren't going to be too happy about me getting on, and I'm going to get on it real quick. And that was the Santonio Holmes two-toe tap touchdown that he had in the back of the end zone. And I'm here to tell you right now, was both feet really in bounds? I don't know. It looked like to me a little bit of his big toe was on the line, but that's besides the point. So if you're asking me, what memorable sports moment have you... I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong question. If you could magically change the outcome of one historical sports event, which one would it be? I would say that was a pretty historical moment. That's been on the highlight reel time and time again for Pittsburgh. It's the last great play that they've actually had in the Super Bowl, because it's the last time they won one was back in 2009. Even Bill Hillgrove, the legendary Bill Hillgrove, who was on call for that game, joined me on this very show and said that was his favorite sports moment of his entire career. This is a guy who covered all of Pitt athletics, Pittsburgh Steelers all the way back to the Bradshaw days, yet he said the Santonio Holmes two-toe tap touchdown was his favorite. Well, I'm sorry, Bill Hillgrove. I'm sorry, Steelers fans. And I'm sorry whoever asked this question. The answer would be that. I would overrule that, because if you overrule that play and you take away that touchdown off the board, Big Ben Roethlisberger's out of field goal range. You take that play away, they're getting back 15 yards off that missed false start. And that right there puts Kurt Warner and that Arizona Cardinals team in prime scoring position. And who was on fire that game? The man that I want to go out to eat with dinner. That being Larry Fitzgerald, who was having a historic game. The Arizona Cardinals controlled the entire game up until that play. That play gets erased from history. The Arizona Cardinals will have a Lombardi in the desert. Period. End of story. There's no and, ifs, or buts about it. That right there would be the one sports moment that I would change. I would erase it. I would magically change it. Get rid of it. Get it out of here. There is your answer. I know a lot of Steelers fans are going to hate that one because it's the last time they were relevant, but it's okay. That was the last time we were relevant too, so I'll take a shot at my own team as well. But that one right there, gone. Get rid of it. If you could create a new sport, what would it be like? I mean, what isn't a sport nowadays? It feels like everything is. I mean, if I had to create one, I can't give you like a direct blueprint on what exactly it is or the functions or the technicalities of it right now. But if I had to do something, it would probably be something along the lines of like a professional wrestling and like maybe some like competition, like some wrestling competition, like a wrestling collegiate event. That would probably be something I would do. You could do like basketball, like probably like something like combining a game, like a childhood game with a sport. So maybe like basketball tag or something. I don't know. I'm not that creative. Like I can't think of a sport off the top of my head, but yeah, it would probably be something stupid like that. Something with wrestling or basketball. Probably just invent a new game. Next question. You guys are sending in some pretty good ones. I mean, there's a lot of weird ones we still didn't get to yet, but there's going to be a lot more. What was the most memorable moment in the sports world that you witnessed live? Well, I wasn't really at many sporting games growing up, but one that comes to mind was Pitt winning the ACC championship with Kenny Pickett. I was there for that against Virginia. That was a historic moment. Or clinching the ACC championship to go and take on Wake Forest. My apologies. The DeMar Hamlin 101-yard kickoff return touchdown. That was a big one. WWE's sake, Sasha Banks winning her first women's championship against Charlotte Flair in that Falls Count Anywhere match. I was there in Pittsburgh at PPG Paints Arena for it. There were several sports moments that I witnessed live. I would probably say Sasha Banks just because that one was pretty historic for WWE. It really kickstarted their feud and took the women's division to a next level and really brought Sasha Banks more out of her shell and elevated her to superstardom. So that was definitely a good one. But there's been a lot of Pitt moments that I watched live. A lot of Pitt moments. I mean, just go back over the last 5 years of any Pitt home game and you can pretty much say that because those are some of the best moments that I've had. There is a lot of interesting questions on here. I don't even know if I want to really read some of these. Another sports question that has been asked is, who do you think is the most underrated athlete in all of sports right now? The most underrated. That's a very good question because this is, again, a very broad question. Like, we're talking all major sports here. So you got to take the NFL, the NBA, NHL, MLB into account. You got to take... I'm not going to include wrestling in this because all mine would just be wrestlers, honestly. Because that's my cup of tea right there. Honestly, if you really want to go that route, the most underrated player... I mean, he's starting to show signs of being great now, but Jalen Brunson I always thought was underrated. But I feel like people are finally starting to recognize his talent, especially over the last 2 years, and how successful the New York Knicks have been. I mean, the Knicks are already in the Eastern Conference Final for the first time in, almost 30 years. So that's a player that I would always lean towards as underrated, just because I've been such a big fan of his. Over in other sports, though, I mean, there's a lot of underrated great players. I'll give you one right now, and this is going to be probably the most... This is probably going to get me some backlash when my dad and Lucas comes back on, but that's okay. Sam Darnold. I mean, I've been talking about Sam Darnold for the last couple years, and when he made the jump from the Jets to the Panthers, the point that I made was that he was under Adam Gase. Adam Gase, in my opinion, is the worst NFL head coach in history. There was no benefit of having him as the leader of your team. He was able to get away from that and spread his wings and fly down to the Panthers. That was a reset team. That was a team for him to figure out his true self. That was a team to see if he could even be capable of playing in the NFL. It's called the NFL test. Josh Rosen got it with the Dolphins. He failed, and that's why he rode practice squads for the rest of his career. Sam Darnold, he passed that test. Baker Mayfield passed that test. He went to the graveyard of quarterbacks, and he made it out alive. From there, he went on to the San Francisco 49ers, where he was a backup to Brock Purdy in their Super Bowl run that they had, where they lost to the Chiefs in the championship. And then he signs with the Minnesota Vikings as a backup quarterback to be the bridge for J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy goes down with that unfortunate injury. Darnold takes back over, starts the season, takes him to the playoffs as one of the most underrated, efficient players throughout the year until his last 2 games. And now he signs a 3-year, $105 million contract with the Seahawks, although the Seahawks team has been depleted with both Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf being out. They still got a Jackson Smith and Jigba. They still got arguably the best running back duo with K9 and Zach Charbonnet. The defense has gotten better. The offensive line has got buffed up. I honestly see Sam Darnold being one of the most underrated players for years to come. If the Seahawks use him correctly and they don't change their management, they let him play the way that Minnesota let him play. If he can develop a similar system in Seattle to what he had with Kevin O'Connell, I don't see why Sam Darnold wouldn't work out. I don't see why Sam Darnold wouldn't be a top 10 quarterback. Sam Darnold was honestly a top 5 quarterback for the majority of last year. There was games where he was outplaying Patrick Mahomes. There was games he was outplaying even a Lamar Jackson at times. But I'll tell you right now, Sam Darnold, to me, is my most underrated player. I've always been a fan of his. I believe he's going to do great things. Is he going to win a Super Bowl? Probably not. Is he going to win an MVP? Probably not. But he is at least going to be one of the quarterbacks that's in the league that we could talk about as, hey, he's good enough, but he's not going to be able to ever get over that hump. And that's kind of where Sam Darnold's at right now. What childhood game do you wish was still popular? This could be, I'm going to say game because it didn't say video game at all. And a childhood game I wish it was still popular. I don't even think people play this anymore. Does anybody even play hide and seek anymore? I used to play hide and seek all the time as a kid. I used to be a pro at it. I would hide in the bushes for hours outside my front yard. And outside my front yard, no one would ever find me. Ever. That one right there was always underrated. There's a lot of good games out there you could play as a kid. I would say hide and seek. I don't ever see kids play. It used to be like a staple at birthday parties in my house, was always that. Now everyone's on their phone or they're playing a video game. It's not fun anymore. It's really not. Alright, and I'm looking through some of these questions and I'm trying to find a really good one. I want to find a sports one first. I'm trying to save some of these more funny ones towards the end. Which sports what's a sport you wish was bigger? Fan base or just watched more? Okay, so what sport would I rather watch more? Well, the good thing is, this is actually going to be funny. I would say soccer, and I don't want to spoil too much, but let's just say I have somebody coming on that does a lot with the soccer community here in Pittsburgh, with the Riverhounds. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I had a really good conversation with him about this on Sunday. So I'm going to save that part for Sunday. But a sport that I wish was honestly bigger, when I'm looking at everything, is boxing. Boxing, to me, has really dwindled over the last several years. And the reason for that is because of all these content creators that think they can fight. Now, I'm not going to take shots at a Jake Paul or a Logan Paul, because obviously those are the two names that always come to mind when we think about influencers in the boxing realm. It's not just them two. There's others out there as well. But they're definitely two of the leaders for it. And they're both great. They're both incredible athletes. I've already given Logan Paul his flowers for WWE, and I've already given Jake his for boxing. But I feel like at times, money is getting in the way of it. It feels scripted. It doesn't feel real. It's a waste of time, a waste of money. These UFC events are great, but not as great as they once were. It doesn't feel legit. And again, this is coming from a professional wrestling fan, but when I'm looking at pound-for-pound fighters, I think of the Mike Tyson. I think of the Muhammad Ali's. When I'm looking at the current state of boxing, I saw the most recent Mike Tyson against Paul. It was a joke. It was a mockery. It was a distaste to the entire boxing community. And this is someone who never really was in the boxing community. Someone who's just kind of sitting there on the windowsill with his head peeking and looking around, seeing what was the buzz about. Boxing, to me, I wish was bigger, because I feel like it could compete with these other sports. It could be up there as one of the most influential things that we could witness. But it's not. It's not. And there's so many different issues and so many different avenues I can go down with it. But I will just say this. They need to invest more in their fighters. Less into the business side of things, less into the contract, but more into the initial build. Build these fights and make them memorable. They're not as memorable as they once were. Alright, next up, what is your go-to snack while watching a game? Goldfish. Easy. Goldfish. Come on, guys. You know me. Specifically the extra cheddar ones. The extra cheddar goldfish is easily my go-to. I love me some goldfish. Here's the thing. People make fun of me all the time because they say I'm a child in a man's body. Just because I get some goldfish and I occasionally get a Happy Meal and, you know, I like my little finger foods with the French fries and the burgers. Just because I like eating stuff like that doesn't mean I have to be a child. Let me live my childhood a little bit longer into my adult years. They never say you want to grow up too fast. I'm just trying to enjoy the food while I still can, because guess what? When I'm 60, I'm not going to be able to eat this food. It's not going to be good for me. But goldfish is my go-to, man. I love me some goldfish. Cheez-Its is good. Pringles are good. Pretzels. Cookies, just depends on the brand. I love sour cream and onion chips. That's another one. That's a go-to snack. Popcorn I used to have all the time as a kid, but I really don't see the hype around popcorn anymore. I mean, it's good like for movies, but like, I don't know. It's never my go-to. I'm unhealthy, so like if you want to even count pizza as a snack, I know it's a real food, but like I get pizza all the time when I'm watching sports as well. Even when I'm calling sports, that's what they get. That's what they give you at the games. It's usually pizza. So it's probably going to be pizza or goldfish. Those are the two. If you had the chance to play one sport professionally, what would it be and why? Honestly, none, because I'm fragile. I mean, Lucas and my dad and Nick Brown over on Steel City and even Mr. Jack Dean, they all call me Mr. Glass for a reason. And I mean, it's a pretty valid nickname. I'm built like glass. I'm always getting injured. So I would probably be having to medically retired within my first 2 years just based off of my injury history. But overall speaking, I would just say wrestling because, I mean, I love me some professional wrestling. I love to get in the ring and do some stuff. But I know a lot of people don't want to count that answer because wrestling's going to be an answer for everything. So out of the 4 major sports, baseball. And the only reason why, I had the most experience in it. I used to play center field. I did a little bit of right field. I played catcher for a season, second base for 3 years, and I think I played shortstop and third for a year as well. I split reps for both. I never wanted to do first base because I was always nervous. The pressure was always on me. Same with pitching. But I was all over the field. I liked center field. I just like to be out there because, I mean, center field's tough because you got to run up quick. Like center field, you have a lot of ground to cover. Much more than both right and left. But Andrew McCutcheon was my guy growing up, so that's kind of why I wanted to play center field. If you can only watch one sport for the rest of your life, which will you choose? I feel like this one was already asked. I could be wrong, though. I'm just going down the list at this point. I mean, wrestling is the easy answer, but without wrestling, it would probably be football. Football is my second favorite sport. I love it on all levels. I love high school football. I love college. I love the NFL. College football is what really carries it over the top. Because college basketball is great too and all, but I really don't get into it as much until March. Like, end of February, beginning of March for March Madness. College football, I watch all throughout the regular season. There's heated rivalries every single game. I mean, we talked about Michigan and Ohio State earlier. We talked about the backyard brawl. You can throw in Alabama and Georgia while you're at it. Don't even get me started on some of the smaller schools as well. They have some pretty fierce competitions like Washington and Oregon. Yeah, that's probably the answer right there. Now, there were some other questions sent in by my good friend Joe Dombrowski. Joe Dombrowski. I'm so sorry that I mispronounced your name, my friend. And he is, of course, a wrestling broadcaster and commentator. I went on the road with him this past Sunday to Dayton, Ohio, which was great. And he sent in a couple questions. And these are the two. Actually, he sent in 3 questions, excuse me. And these were last-minute ones, so thank you so much, Joe, for the help. Truly appreciate it. And one of them is, I'm still sad that Jake Gensel is gone from the Penguins. What can you say to ease my depression? I'll give you the easy answer, Joe. Mike Sullivan's finally gone, and I believe Mike Sullivan was the reason why the Pittsburgh Penguins were losing for the longest time. Now, does getting rid of him automatically solve the problem? Absolutely not. This is going to be a couple years long process. But when you have a trio in Sidney Crosby, Chris Letang, and Evgeny Malkin, and you can't even win with them, that just shows the testament of what this team actually is and the trajectory that they're on. Now, having Jake Gensel around, I mean, he was easily the best scorer on the team. I mean, he complimented Crosby better than anybody else. And getting rid of him ultimately put a stain in that. Now, this past year, it was nice to see both Ricard Raquel and Byron Rustick stand up and have career years for both of their respective careers. But Jake Gensel, I mean, you talk about a guy that's down in Tampa Bay right now, absolutely lighting it up. On Sunday, we had Josh Getzoff on the podcast, and he had nothing but nice things to say about Jake Gensel, and it's because of how great of a player he actually is. So, Joe, to answer your question, don't be depressed. You're probably going to be depressed for another couple years, like we all have been watching the Penguins. But Jake Gensel has been gone for quite some time now, and now that Mike Sullivan is officially out of here, Penguins are going to find a new guy. Crosby's still here. Malkin's still here. We can only go up from here. That would be my advice. We can only go up from here. Also, why are you such a natural at pro wrestling cameraman? Are you after every job now? Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm after every job now, but I mean, I do like some commentating, so you might want to watch out, Joe. I also love announcing. I love being a healed character, so who knows? Maybe I could be a manager for somebody. I have a couple eyes on some wrestlers that maybe I could accompany out to the ring. I worked cameraman. I actually did ringside camera for the first time on Saturday. That's what Joe's referring to at IWC Wrestling at the Ballpark. And it was a great experience. Absolutely amazing. I'm very blessed to have been able to do it. Everyone was so cool there as well. So, I don't know why I'm a natural at it. I wouldn't say that I am. I was pretty shaky the first couple matches, but I truly appreciate the compliment. I have worked camera before at Point Park doing other games, so maybe that experience kind of helped out a little bit. I also did it for a couple banquet halls. I just did it this past Monday at some event that was being taken place for the mayor, which was pretty cool. But I wouldn't say I'm after every job. Maybe just a few. Maybe it's yours. Maybe it's your partner Dom's. Maybe it's, I don't know, somebody else in the IWC locker room. Who knows? Or maybe it's not even IWC. Maybe it's just someone in the wrestling world in general. Maybe it's Paul Heyman. You never know. You got to watch out for me. That's why they call me Pittsburgh's favorite Jagoff. And the final question from Joe is, why haven't I been on your show yet? Well, the invite is always there. Joe, I'd love to have you come on as a guest. We can interview you. We can talk about whatever you want. I'd love to do it. Well, that's going to be an interview we're going to try and set up this summer, actually, hopefully. I would love to have Joe Dombrowski on. He can talk. He has endless wrestling stories for days, and I would love to get some more of the wrestling community on this podcast. Never really, outside of Lucas, there's really been no one on this podcast in the wrestling world. So we definitely got to get someone on. I believe you're the best guest for that. Next question is, would you rather have... Oh, absolutely not. I am not reading that questions. I am not reading that question on here. What is wrong with you guys? Okay, anybody that wants to hear this question, I am not saying this on the digital airways of Spotify and YouTube. Absolutely the hell not. That's criminal. I will answer this one, though. What is the best muffin for the consumption of nutrients? Well, if you couldn't tell, this was a Mr. Jack Dean question. I don't know what else would point that direction. I mean, I like Little Bites, man. I mean, does Little Bites count? Like the little brownie ones that you get in the box? Like the little mini bag where it has like 4 or 5 of them? I mean, I'll take that one. Does that count? Or what about... Oh, I don't know. Little Bites, brownies. What about like the homemade chocolate chip muffins? I mean, those ones are pretty good too. So I guess one of those ones. I don't know if they're good for your nutrients or not, but they're good muffins. They're good muffins, damn it. And we have only 2 more questions to end off today's episode. And boy, oh boy, what an interesting one this has been. Next question is, Austin, where do the Steelers go from here? We talked about Aaron Rodgers possibly signing with this team. Nothing has happened. And now they have Mason Rudolph back as their starting quarterback. Are they doomed? I wouldn't say they're necessarily doomed because Mike Tomlin is still the head coach, and as much as we criticize him, he does find a way to win seasons. He does find a way to win games and have winning seasons. And this was a debate that all 3 of us recently had on the podcast. So I wouldn't say that they're necessarily doomed, but they definitely should be raising an eyebrow. They should definitely be concerned, because when you look at this team overall, they lack running backs, they lack defensive backs, they lack receivers. This team is lacking in a lot of positions. They lost a lot. And this was expected. The Steelers were expected to lose a lot going into the offseason. It's something we covered extensively here on the podcast. And now that they have lost those players, the lack of being able to fill those holes is a major concern. You're telling me that you let both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields walk. They both got contracts in New York, one with the Jets and one with the Giants. Your only replacements for that is drafting Will Howard, which, don't get me wrong, you got him for a pretty good bargain later in the draft. He fell pretty far back, which is a nice valued pick. And you brought back Mason Rudolph, who you got rid of. And if you believed in Mason Rudolph so much, and you believe he could lead this team to the promised land, you believe you can get to the playoffs with him, why would you get rid of him in the first place? It wasn't money because you went all in on other players. So what was the point of getting rid of Mason Rudolph then? That's the part that bothers me. And Aaron Rodgers, I know that he has a lot going on in his personal life. I'm wishing him nothing but the best. Some news broke out about that today. I don't know if it's true or not, which is why I don't want to report on it. I didn't do good enough research to confirm or deny it. But if the reports out there are true, hopefully Rodgers is doing well and holding up okay. But I still am going to blame him for being very picky with the way that he's been going with this whole contract process. It's obvious the Steelers want him, and it doesn't seem like he really wants to go with them. And if it was, it would have been a done deal by now, unless he's trying to squeeze out every penny he can. Which, in all fairness, really blame him. He is a former 2-time back-to-back MVP, multi-time playoff appearance guy, Super Bowl champion. I mean, the resume is endless with Aaron Rodgers. So I wouldn't say they're doomed, but they definitely should be concerned. And our final question for the day is a good one. And I feel like this one I get asked all the time. Austin, who is the best interview that you've done, and who is the worst? Wow. You guys are really putting me in a hole here. I think I ranked the interviews before, but we've had a lot more since the last Austin Anything. I mean, we've practically had one every weekend. I still stand by the Caden Warner one possibly being my best, but I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed the Josh Getzoff one this past weekend. So it's going to be 50-50 between those two. No offense to my man Devontae Dean, but that interview lasted barely 15 minutes, and I was in a rush, and I didn't even have all my equipment. So that one was probably the worst just in technicalities. I always talk about the Jason Earl one being bad just because I was sick the week before and I feel like I wasn't at 100%. But Earl was such a professional and gave me amazing answers and great insight into the world of Pitt. So I don't want to say that one was a bad one. I think that one was one of my better ones. I just didn't like my setup for it. I felt like I rushed myself and I was sick and I should have recovered a little bit more. And that was on me. Jason was such a good guy about it. He was so cool and so humble, which I truly appreciate. That's why he's welcome back on any time. Would love to do another episode with him. Robbie Inspikowski was a good one too. Really enjoyed that interview. Very stand-up guy. Very, very give me some great advice. I've spoken on the phone with him several times since that interview actually. He's actually going to be returning to the podcast very soon. We have something in the works right now. So Robbie was a great guest. Loved all the Zoom interviews we did with Palco, with Hillgrove, with King. Naz Fisher was a great one. Matt Palangi was awesome. Kevin, I mean, we talked about our friendship and how that all began. That was a great episode. I mean, like, I don't know what else to tell you guys. It feels like every interview we've done so far has been great. The one this Sunday is probably the most chaotic one we've ever done. So I'm really looking forward to you guys seeing that one. I don't want to spoil it just yet, but there's going to be another one on Sunday. I would still say Caden is number one and Devontae is the worst. No offense. And it's crazy because those are the first two interviews we did. Devontae was first and Caden was second. So we got the best and the worst right out the way. And then from there, it was up and down, depending on your guys' favorites. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that right there is all the questions that were submitted for Ask Austin Anything. A bit of a shorter episode this time. We usually aim for an hour, but we got about 46 minutes in. So to end off today's episode, I would like to make a couple of quick announcements and quick notes. So I have been doing a lot recently in my personal life, and this is something I wanted to open up about here on the podcast because the last couple weeks that I've been on this podcast, I've either had a special guest on where I didn't want to make it about me. I wanted to make it about them. Or I did some sort of episode where we were covering news and covering the NFL and covering other stuff. So I wanted to make sure that all avenues were cleared in those terms. But when I look at what I have going on right now, I am just absolutely honored and proud to see the growth of this podcast. And that is because of all of you guys that listen. I have been getting messages from people from high school that I've never talked to or I haven't talked to in years. I have been getting messages from random fans, from people that I don't really know too well, but I'm starting to get to know better because of this podcast. And it seems like that you all genuinely enjoy the content that we put out, whether that be the episodes that you're listening to now, the social media promos that we have on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, or just the support of knowing that this podcast is growing and it's reaching record high numbers. We have sponsorships actually in negotiations right now that we're trying to get cleared so we can maybe monetize this a little more and do some more IRL content and expand to Jagoffs a little more, maybe get all of our episodes on camera, not just the interviews. There's a lot that we're trying to do, and it wouldn't have been possible without every single one of you. And I don't want to mean to get too sentimental here, but I am for a second. Point Park University has really opened up my eyes for that. There are so many good-ass students and good-ass people there that have given me support that I've never received. I mean, back at Carlington, outside of my man Kevin, nobody gave a damn about me. Nobody gave a damn about this podcast or this show. Until now that it's successful. But everybody there has encouraged me, has pushed me to be the best person that I can be. And my ultimate goal in life is to give back to others, help others in need, and chase a dream that I've had since I was 14 years old. And that is to be in the sports world, be in professional wrestling, be in football, be in anything that I can possibly be in. Because that right there is what matters most to me. Helping others while also chasing a dream. And I've been able to do that over the last couple years. I've won a couple of scholarships over the last couple months. I've been interning with IWC. Now I'm hired, doing a lot of backstage stuff, camera work, editing, setting up shows, engaging with wrestlers and broadcasters, now traveling on the road, being able to do so much with my personal life at home as well, with my family, expanding this podcast, expanding my other Steel City Commuters podcast, having politicians and athletes and broadcasters all lined up. Guys, I don't think you understand how big of a deal this is. We've had the voice of the Penguins, the Steelers, and multiple Pirates and Steelers reporters on this show. Greg Brown is a really good friend of mine. He's probably the closest that I am with out of all the broadcasters. He's coming on the show down the line. Josh Getzoff, is the successor to Mike Lang. He was just on the podcast this past Sunday. Bill Hillgrove, Rob King, Ince Mikowski, Earl. These are guys that's been in the broadcasting world for God knows how long. And they came on this podcast. I consider a lot of them friends. I consider them, a lot of the times, people that I can look up to, people that I can get advice from, or people I can just have a conversation with, grab a coffee with. They're great people. And none of that would have been possible without the support of you guys. You guys watching those interviews over and over again is really what grew this podcast. I totally forgot to give King Andrew Brown a shout out earlier as well. That was another banger interview. Thank you so much to Mr. Alexander, by the way, for setting that up. Shout out to Mr. Ray. There's so many different people out there that I would like to thank. And this podcast would probably get to about an hour if I do that. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep this episode as short and sweet as possible. But I just wanted to come on here real quick and say I am so blessed for all the opportunities that have came my way. I try to stay as humble as possible because I don't want to ever be cocky or ever put anyone down afterwards. I just want people to know out there that this means the absolute world to me. It doesn't feel like work. Me coming here doing this podcast and me sitting behind this microphone or at Point Park University at the Media Hub or on a broadcast for a live game or holding a camera at a wrestling event, it doesn't feel like work. I have a smile on my face the entire time. The entire time. And the reason why is because I love what I do. And damn it, I'm going to push even harder to get to where I want to be. So thank you all so much. If anybody out there that I know personally or that knows me ever needs anything, open invites to all. DMs are always open. LinkedIn, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, text, call, I'll answer. Or at least I'll try to answer. I'm pretty busy. I travel a lot now. But thank you all so much for that. I really appreciate it. To end off today's episode of Two Jagoffs, I would like to share a story. I feel like this is the only time I can share it because next week I'm losing control of the podcast. I will get to that in a moment. This past week, if you didn't listen to Steel City Commuters or Inside the Ring with Austin Carnes, I did share both the stories on there, but I'll briefly share it on here as well. I worked 2 wrestling events this past week. IWC Wrestling at the Ballpark, I was on ringside camera for, and I was at Pro Wrestling Revolver with my good friend Joe Dombrowski, who sent in a couple questions earlier. And I got to sit at the merch table, meet some wrestlers, hang out, get the real experience of what it's like to be on the road for a long period. I didn't get home till 3:30 in the morning. And guess what? I got right up the next day and went right back to work because that is what you do. And I'm very blessed for it, and what a great opportunity it was. So thank you, Joe, for the opportunity. Thank you, IWC, for the opportunity. And thank you all for the opportunity. All of you is what pushed me to get there. And damn it, I'm going to keep going. To end off today's episode, I would like to make the last 2 announcements. This Sunday, of course, is going to be a brand new interview. It feels like we're reserving those Sunday slots for our special guest. And boy, oh boy, this one is probably the most chaotic yet. This is a guy right here who you guys are probably going to grow to quickly love. I've known him ever since I joined Point Park University as a student, and I think this might be the funniest interview that ever gets published. Definitely one of the favorite episodes that's going to be out there. One of my favorites is sitting in the vault right now. And then next week, next Thursday, the final episode of May, Lucas Carey's returns. Lucas, for the 3rd time, will take over Two Jagoffs. What do you think he has prepared? I have no clue. He needed an extra week to prepare. That's why he's not here this week. So Lucas is out doing his own thing right now. He's getting the episode prepared and ready to go. And then we will most likely have a promo where I get my ass kicked like today. Because I don't know if you noticed or not, on the promo today, I was trying to promote Ask Austin Anything, yet I got hit with a chair again twice and put through a couple boxes. It feels like I never catch a break. But at least you guys like the promo, so thank you all so much. And not only that, the following week after Lucas Carey's, we will be going through and talking about the finals and the championships for the Eastern and Western Conference finals and who is going to win in the NBA and Stanley Cup finals. If you want my predictions on that, definitely go and check out Steel City Commuters episode 19. Me and Nicholas Brown dove into that a little bit deeper. Again, thank you all so much for the continued support. I truly appreciate it. Until next time here on Two Jagoffs, we will see you all in the next episode. Peace.